Welcome friends to the Word Cloud Tarot Show. Today is the 24th of May 2021 and you may have noticed on the news Belarus have taken down a plane. They've ordered it to land and taken Roman, a journalist on board, off the plane, and he's now in custody in Belarus. He thinks they're going to kill him. I don't know a lot about what's going on, but we'll see if we can find out by doing a tarot reading. Unconventional method, I know. We'll be using the Word Cloud Tarot deck, which is a deck I designed, especially to be very easy to use and very transparent. It's very easy to use because the meanings of all the cards are written on the card. For instance, here we've got the Eight of Cups, indolence, which is about publishing and sleepiness and hostility and wariness and disheartened mournfulness. We will be doing a reading called a Horseshoe Reading. The Horseshoe Reading is about guidance usually, but we can take it as the event, the guidance being the actual downing of the plane, forcing it to land with a fighter escort to take a man into custody. A Horseshoe Reading looks like this. It has cards for represents the past, one that represents the present, one that represents the future, one that represents the guidance, or in this case the action, one that represents influences on that and obstacles on that, and eventually the final outcome of that. So let's begin with the first card. The first card represents the past, and it's the Seven of Pentacles. The Seven of Pentacles is known as failure. It represents assets and bonuses and slack and equity and loyalty and income and of course failure. The next card represents the present, and that today is the 11th Swords. The 11th sword card is the Page of Swords. It represents loquaciousness and observance and energetic, anxious, qualitative, jovial fascination. The next card is the card that represents the unguided future. That's the 12 of Cups, the Knight. Represents beautiful glamour and unsympathetic magnificence, amongst other things. The next card is the card that represents the guidance itself. That is the Eight of Wands. The Eight of Wands is called swiftness, and that's about initiatives and acceleration and strategy. The next card is the influence card. This is the Seven of Cups. No, it's not. It's the Seven of Swords, which is futility. That's about deception and inadequacy and paranoia. The next card after that is the Obstacles card. Obstacles here is represented by the Nine of Pentacles. The Nine of Pentacles is known as gain, and that's the wrong card then, isn't it? Nine of Pentacles is known as gain. That's the right card. It represents gratitude and well-being and diversity. The final outcome card will be the 17th trump card, which is known as the Star. The Star represents creativity and doubt and exploration. But the question isn't what do each of these individual cards mean, of course. The question is, what do these cards mean in relationship to the question and as a narrative, a story that the cards can tell. So to find that out, we'll have a look at what the summary is. So this is how I think it goes. Belarus, the country, it was headed for failure. It was in failure. It was failing. Its earnings were down. It wasn't getting any rewards. It was sluggish. The momentum was all gone. There's no understanding. The country is not democratic at all. And then you've got Roman himself, the journalist who was taken off the plane. This represents him. He's anxious but energetic, qualitative, see, like a journalist, observant like a journalist, well-informed and fascinated and rational like a journalist. So this is the journalist as he was, but this is the future he was headed towards. He was headed towards being standalone, away from his country, in unsympathetic exile from his country. He was going to be a tourist forever, adjusting to a new life, being thoughtful and a realist, perhaps exiled from his country. Now, this intervention of taking him off the plane where he was headed home from holiday, and a bit of covering a speech, this is the intervention itself. Now, the intervention itself was an initiative which was opportunist. There was some KGB agents on the plane with him. They were following him. It seems possible they didn't really expect to get a chance to take him, and it was only decided at the last minute in this dreadful, contentious, conscious decision to take him off the plane. Now, despite the fact that that was ill thought out, influence is pretty futile. There's very little we can do from outside the country to influence Belarus now, because they're already fairly ostracized. They already have sanctions against them. All of these things we could try will be futile. It would be just an illusion of trying to do anything. So, what might work? Actual obstacles are financial gain. Sanctions, perhaps, that prevent the country from all these things like growth, from prosperity, from well-being and peacefulness, from expectation and bonuses. That might actually work. And if the sanctions can be put in place, perhaps the star can be happy. Perhaps he can be released, and we'll have a rising star of journalism released from Belarus. So without knowing much about it, that seems to be what the story that the tarot are suggesting. They're suggesting that this was an ill thought out decision, and there's no real incentives that we can put in place to influence them other than the financial incentives of sanctions. So perhaps that's what the countries will do. Perhaps they won't. Meanwhile, if you go to wordcloudtarot.com, you can buy yourself a kit like this one. You can see this is the Swiftness card, a pivotal card from today's reading. It's got candor and initiatives and dreadful messaging. All of these cards can be had from wordcloudtarot.com. It's a very cheap pack. If you don't want to buy a set, you can always follow us on Twitter, and we'll see you for another reading next week. Do join us then. Bye bye.